We're called the shelter of last resort in the Cass Corridor because there are no restrictions on who can come in, and we don't have any capacity. So if the other shelters are full, we'll take those clients. If the individual happens to be intoxicated or belligerent or something, and they get kicked out of other shelters, or they have some fluid psychosis where they can't follow the rules and get kicked out of the shelter, we'll take them in. We have had as many as an estimated 700 people there in the coldest winter nights. The theory being that if we turn anybody away, they may end up freezing to death. So we have no upper limit, no capacity for that.
Stand up.
We have a significant population of patients who are uninsured, and of course they tend to fall out of the healthcare net. So I'm putting out fires a lot, finding people who have been without their medication for quite a while, diabetics who haven't had insulin, or people with blood pressures that are through the roof. My first year at the shelter, there was a woman who came in, her feet were really painful, and on examination I saw that the soles of her feet were very macerated, just like real white and waxy. You know how if you sit in a bathtub how your skin gets wet and wrinkly? If you magnify that 10 times, that's what the sole of her foot looked like. And the history was that she had been caught in a freezing rain, and she had fur-lined boots and they got wet, and she was walking around without a change of socks for 3 days. So she had these really painful, macerated feet, and I wasn't sure exactly what it was that I was looking at first, and I did a little research and found out it was trench foot. It got named because there was a high prevalence of it in soldiers in the First World War who'd stand in cold water for days on end in the trenches. It's not really something that you run into in clinical practice every day. Her trench foot could have been avoided by just a change of dry socks. And so we started a sock drive. The local high school student service group called Interact took it over, and they collected, hundreds and hundreds of socks. Every fall we call it Socks in the City. Detroit's had its economic problems, so the Detroit Free Press said that Detroit was the epicenter of America's urban crisis. And where I work in the Cass Corridor is the worst of the worst. I just like to be able to help people, and this is a spot where I think I'm probably most needed. Word gets around. I have gotten people come to the shelter because they know I'm there. They sit in chairs in the main room, and I put a list out there and they sign the list to see me, so they're willing to see me. It's estimated that at any point in time there are between 13,000 and 19,000 homeless in the city of Detroit. And from a healthcare perspective, we're way behind the curve because we have very few of the low-cost or free clinics. They're generically called community health centers. They're the federally qualified health centers, or those that meet the standards called lookalikes. So the FQHCs and lookalikes in Detroit, we only have 17. And we don't have a public hospital in Detroit. I can't solve the healthcare problems in Detroit by myself, but I can do the best that I can with the person that's sitting in front of me at that moment.